Good morning, friends. Welcome back to another Monday with me. I am just giving you a glimpse of the state of my house this morning. I tell you what, Mondays seem to be all about putting things back where they belong because apparently over the weekends we lose our minds and don't ever put anything up. The house is in desperate need of a quick tidy and some deep cleaning in certain areas, and that is my goal for today. I also have a massive mountain of laundry on my bed to fold and put away, along with a few other loads that need to be washed and dried. And I would also like to completely clean out and purge my refrigerator. I plan on doing the majority of my Thanksgiving cooking on Wednesday, and not cooking. I'm going to prepare all of the dishes and have them ready to go in the oven so that all the food will actually be done on Wednesday but not cooked or baked until Thursday. But right now, I couldn't fit a casserole dish in my fridge if my life depended on it. It's a disaster. It's dirty. There's so much excess milk in there right now. I need to deliver some today. So let's jump right in. I had already decided in my mind I was going to really purge the fridge today. That meant checking dates on all of our condiments, getting rid of things that have been in there for a long time and we simply have not used. It felt great to just take everything off the shelves and kind of divide it up into what's going to go back in, what can go to the chickens, and what is just trash. This didn't take me nearly as long as I thought it would, and it feels really, really great to have it done. Look at all the space in here for casseroles. There will be lots of casserole dishes in here in about 48 hours, and I am so excited. Now I just need to go deliver some of this milk. One of my goals for today is for everyone to bring their laundry down and get it all done today. I know that means there are going to be a few kids that have laundry baskets in here. I know I've got towels to wash and some blankets from the living room, but I am really looking forward to getting it all done and checking that off the list, including folding and putting it away. Another thing I was determined to do, even though I don't know that I'm going to get around to completely cleaning the laundry room, but was to go through my containers and containers and containers of potatoes. These two big boxes that join to make one giant mound of sweet potatoes, those can stay put. This basket of sweet potatoes, these are actually from last year. I may have mentioned it in another video, but look at all these gorgeous healthy slips that are forming. I will break these off in a few months. Well, let's see. Yeah, probably in January. I'll break those slips off and put them in water on my windowsill and wait for all of them to root, and that does not take very long. And then I will use those to plant my sweet potatoes for next year. The last thing I needed to do with these potatoes, I had a very large mixing bowl, which I had been missing in my kitchen, that was full of just random potatoes. Most of them were very small, like smaller than a plum, so it wasn't going to be much use for cooking, but a lot of them had started to grow eyes, and that means that would make a really great seed potato for the spring. So I sorted out all of the ones that looked healthy and didn't have any juices coming out of them, and I put them in this box, and I will save these in the back of the pantry where it'll stay dark and somewhat cool, and I will use them in the spring as my seed potatoes. Moving on to Mount Washmore, it is time to tackle all these loads of laundry. It has definitely become an effective tactic to start on one side, make some piles, and put them away as I finish them. It just makes it feel like the pile is getting smaller and smaller a lot faster. And I also don't end up with, 25 piles of clothes on my bed when I'm finished. It's all being put away in reasonable chunks. I hung everything up, put everything away, and now as the other loads of laundry come out throughout the day, it'll be so much simpler to fold them one small load at a time versus one giant pile at the end of the day. Do you ever stop in certain rooms of your house and all of a sudden notice things that you haven't seen in months? For example, I had massive dust building up on this light fixture, which is in our master bathroom. This took me maybe 2 minutes to go ahead and clean them, dust them. Don't worry, I checked to make sure they weren't hot before I sprayed them. I dusted the entire fixture, and then I cleaned the mirror from top to bottom, which I don't do very often because I can't reach it when I'm just standing at the counter. But this was just one of those things that was small, but I'm so glad that I did it. I had been planning to go out to run errands with my mom later this afternoon, but I knew I had about 30 more minutes before we were going to leave. So I tackled the back of the house, which is something I've been wanting to do for weeks and weeks. I did the front of the house a few weeks ago when I had my book club over, and this was the perfect time to go ahead and pressure wash the back of the house. I put my raincoat on with my hood so that I wouldn't be soaked and have to dry myself completely before going out with my mom. But this took me about 30 minutes, and it looks so much better now that it's finished. Sometimes we treat this back deck as if it were an outdoor junk drawer. Just a few hours ago, there were 2 box fans that needed to go up in the attic that were sitting out on the back deck, and that one of those wrought iron tables that you saw by the door was completely filled with quart jars that had been sitting in my garden and had been moved over to that table months ago. Now I'm ready to beautify this space and use it more often. Some of you have asked why my husband is never in any of these videos. Well, the main answer is because he works like 50 to 60 hours a week. But he is off this week, and so he was so kind to get Penny all set up for me. He milks in the morning and I milk in the evenings. We have a very simple hand milking routine. It takes us about 30 minutes from start to finish. So we bring Penny over to the milking stall. We lock her into the head gate, brush her, spray her with fly spray if necessary, which is just apple cider vinegar with water and some peppermint essential oil. We put the kick bar on her, and then we wash her off. We wash her udder and her teats really well with soapy water and a rag. Depending on how dirty she is, we may have to use 2 or 3 rags. We make sure she's nice and clean. And before we pull the bucket under her to start milking, we usually milk out each teat 3 or 4 times to get the milk that had been sitting in there, like in that particular teat, out. We just milk it onto the floor. That would typically contain the highest amount of bacteria if there was any. So those go onto the floor, and then we pull the milking bucket in. Now, Penny has very short teats. She is not a really great hand milking cow. Not in terms of milking the way that you would normally see someone milking a cow, where you kind of grasp the very top of the udder with your thumb and forefinger and you roll your fingers down to squeeze all the milk out. You can see how I am milking her here. We have to use some olive oil on our hands, which there's like a soap dispenser screwed to the post in the milking stall that contains olive oil, and this is how we have to milk her. Now, her front teats look longer, but they're not. They're not long enough to grasp onto and milk like most people can milk a cow. Her back teats are way shorter. They are probably as long as the top joint of your thumb. When Penny wants to get the rest of the food she has spilled on the ground, she goes down on her knees. And today she just happened to trip a little and shifted all 800 pounds of her weight, you just saw it right there, over to the left about 18 inches to maybe 2 feet. Normally, I move the milking bucket out of the way when I know she's about to do this because she stirs up a little bit of dust, and I just sit there until she comes back up on her hooves. I don't know what made me get up today, but I am so thankful I did, because although I don't think she would have hurt me, she most definitely would have knocked me off of that bucket and onto my back. She really tripped over pretty quickly, and I'm thankful that I was not standing there. Anyway, you can see the black little mini feeding trough that we put her grains in while we're milking. She pushes it out of the way when she's finished, and then she tries to get all of the things that she had spilled out onto the ground. It's a real pain. Some people thought we were crazy to want a milk cow. People think that you are going to be absolutely married to this animal and you can't ever leave town and it's such a burden. But I will tell you, after milking over 400 times over the last 9 months, it has become the most beautiful bookends to our day. We start the day with milking, we end the day with milking. And it's just 30 minutes of quiet and solitude, and we've really come to enjoy it. I don't know how I crammed this crazy busy day into a 10-minute video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.